There he comes. Here he comes. Oh my God. That's a definite shooter. Man, that is a big deer right there. Big deer. It's a buck. It's a good buck. Give me that shoulder.
The white-tailed deer is North America's most popular big game animal. From Pennsylvania to Iowa, Montana to Texas, and Wisconsin to Tennessee, cagey white-tail bucks are trophies that demand great respect. On this week's episode, we hit the woods for the kind of big buck action that fills many hunters' dreams. This is Nosler's Magnum TV.
Yeah, you know, virtually anywhere that guys hunt anymore, they've got white-tailed deer in their backyard, and everybody's got good hunting, and it is the king when it comes to big game hunting in the U.S. So why does anybody want to go way up north and take a week and probably freeze to death up in Saskatchewan? One reason: they're huge. The area of Saskatchewan that we're hunting is right on the border where the cropland and the grassland hits the big timber. But I think that transition zone is kind of the best of both worlds. And when I was up here my first time, I killed the biggest deer I've ever taken in my life. I killed a 178-inch, 13-point buck that was just a monster. You know, I never thought I'd see another deer even close to that. And when I got back this year, Barry told me he was sending me to the same tree stand. I wasn't going to argue with that after what I'd taken out of there the year before, but you know, again, I'm just looking for a mature deer. I'm not expecting another 170 class buck.
Hey, welcome to Saskatchewan. We're up here in Meadow Lake with Barry Sampson and Safari River Outdoors. I've been in the stand about 3 minutes and there's already a deer in front of us, and it's like 9 in the morning. It's in the 20s. That's not super cold for Saskatchewan standards, but it's cold for me. So that's why I come in October. I'm in the same tree that I shot a 178-inch buck out of last year. We got a really good buck on some trail cam photos. We're gonna see how long Tim can hold out and wait on him. I'm not making any guarantees.
The most popular weeks for us would be the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th weeks of November, getting these northern whitetail during the rut. The reason why I, as an outfitter, am interested in hunting October is we get a lot of people, especially from the deep south, who are scared of hunting in cold weather, you know, and anything would be like winter conditions for them back home for sure.
I would call that dead still. No wind.
You know, unlike a lot of places that you hunt, Saskatchewan, it's a lot mental. You have to be prepared for the cold, but I think the number one thing guys aren't ready for is sitting from daylight to dark in a stand. And that is an absolute mental test. I don't care who you are or where you are. If you go get in a stand 30 minutes before daylight and you stay till black dark, 13 hours in a stand, 10 hours in a stand, whatever it is, that's tough.
80% of our mature deer harvested during the rut are shot between 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. If we didn't hunt those hours, we wouldn't be seeing or harvesting those deer. It's just that simple.
I'm one of those guys most of the time. I want to go hunt about 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the afternoon, take a nice break in the middle. You don't want to do that in Saskatchewan because as Barry, our outfitter, tells us, 10 to 2 is the prime time when they kill most of their big bucks. And that's when you got to be in the stand. You know, you never know when he's going to pop out, and it just takes 1 minute. So you better be there during that 1 minute.
There's a deer right there. That's a buck. It's a good buck.
Nosler's Magnum TV is brought to you by Nosler, Load Nosler, Own the Shots, and by Nikon, Dunham's High Caliber Ranch, Gobble and Grunt Outfitters, the NRA ILA, and Thompson Center Arms, America's master gunmaker. This portion of Nosler's Magnum TV is brought to you by Gobble and Grunt Outfitters.
You can't ever let your guard down when you're on stand in a place like Saskatchewan. The deer can show up anytime, from any direction, anywhere, so you've got to be on your toes, and that's tough. This particular day, it got pretty nasty. About 10 o'clock, it started raining, and it started raining a little bit harder. And then it got into a full-blown downpour that turned into sleet. And then I started seeing little flakes of wet snow come down, and it was just nasty. I was glad to be tucked up in a big spruce tree, and it was kind of like an umbrella. But the bush up here is so thick, and some of this dark timber with the aspen trees and the big spruces, and then just thick stuff everywhere. You've just got little openings that you're looking at. I had one off to my right, and I had one in front of me, and then I had some thick stuff down below me. But 105, 110 yards is as far as I could see in any direction, and then in between that, you might not be able to see anything. And I was kind of getting relaxed and thinking, you know, it's 12, there's nothing gonna happen today. And boom, out of nowhere, I see a big chocolate rack step out of the bushes.
There's a deer right there. It's a buck. It's a good buck.
Dude, I gotta be honest, I didn't sit there and start calculating stuff. Any good, solid, mature deer, that's what I was after.
The other corner. Coming down that hill.
When this deer just pops out, I think I see antlers, and the next thing I see, he's cruising toward my opening.
He's spooked.
If he went out of that opening, I was gonna lose him.
I think that's a shooter.
Big bodies, their antlers don't look as big. So if you think he's a good, solid deer, he's probably a lot better than a good, solid deer.
I need him to turn for me. He's facing dead away. Yeah, he's got good tines. If he turns, I'm gonna shoot him. There we go. That's it. He's coming this way in that thick stuff. I can put another one in, I'm going to.
That one did it right there. That is a good deer. I didn't take forever and sit there and try to count him up, but that's a good deer. Oh man, love it. I want to get down there in that thick stuff and put my hands on those big chocolate antlers. Yeah, here's blood all over the place. There he is. He didn't go 20 yards. Walked up in the bush, and when I picked the other side of his antlers up, I about had a heart attack. I mean, he had 9 points on the other side that I couldn't see, and mass going everywhere. Oh my gosh. 15 legitimate points. And look at that mass right there. That is why you come to Saskatchewan. I mean, look at that. It is ridiculous. My goodness, what a buck. Oh, Safari River Outdoors,
That stand right there, 2 years in a row, 2 monster Saskatchewan whitetails. Thank you, Lord. I never dreamt he was that. My gosh, look at that.
And lo and behold, out of the same stand, almost exactly a year later, the deer I killed was a 174-inch, 15-point monster. I mean, what are the odds of that? I don't care how good this place is, but the same stand 2 years in a row, 2 gigantic bucks. Where do you think I'm gonna be sitting next October? I'm gonna go and take all the steps off of that and take them home with me and mark it as Tim's stand until I get back next year, because he can't keep me out of that stand.
Absolutely fantastic. Saskatchewan is the place that whitetail dreams are made. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That's a definite shooter. Man, that is a big deer right there. Big deer. He's giving me that shoulder.
You know, we're hunting in the famous Oklahoma Dust Bowl, and this is just not an area that looks like typical whitetail habitat. But all these places are harboring some big deer, and the whitetails have done really well in the area.
It's just prime whitetail habitat. It's not classic whitetail habitat like a lot of people think of, but it holds a lot of deer, and it's very deceiving. If you know where to look and the right kind of hangouts for them, you'll see a lot of deer. And the quality of the deer here is fantastic.
Hey, welcome to a beautiful, frosty, cold morning here in the Oklahoma Panhandle. It's late November. The rut is in full swing. It couldn't be a better morning to be in a tree stand. That's a good buck. He's probably 250 yards away. I'm gonna give it a shot. He heard that. I saw his head whip around when I grunted. Here he comes. Here he comes. I don't know how good he is yet.
I absolutely love hunting deer in the rut. There's no better time to be in the deer woods. And we had a great encounter with a really nice deer. And he was on a string. He circled just a little bit, but he ended up coming from about 300 yards into 60.
He's definitely a mature deer, but he looks like he may be a little bit short in the tines. I think we knew better than that. I may end up regretting this by the end of my trip. That's a really pretty deer.
Now I gotta tell you, I thought 3 or 4 times about pulling up the gun and taking a shot at him, but we were seeing so many good deer, I figured I better hold out.
Well, hey, here's our situation this afternoon. You can see behind me really thick tamaracks and just a massive thicket. That's the bedding area. Right out in front of my stand is about 300 acres of triticale grass. At some point, a big buck's either going to be chasing one of those does out from the bedding to where she's going, or it's a great place for big bucks just to come and check and see if there are hot does out here. So it looks like a perfect situation. First things first right here, you always got to be safe. I don't even care if I'm in a ladder stand with a bar all the way around it. I'm one of the guys that have fallen back in my young and stupid days. Now I'm just old and stupid. Some does beeline to the field. They sure know where they're going.
Every year we get some really good peak rut activity. We'll at least get a few days of it. The cool thing about being here and hunting during the rut is that you never know what you're going to see.
This little buck running her. Boy, he's dogging her hard. That's what the rut's about right there. They're gonna end up right here in front of us too. He's acting like a cutting horse. He's all over. You just need a big one to do that exact thing right there.
We had little bucks chasing around, and I knew the later it got, the better chance I had. And then it happened. 500 yards away, big boy stepped out, and it didn't take long to figure out he was gonna be a shooter. The only problem was I needed him to get a lot closer for me to get a quality shot.
Oh my gosh. That's a definite shooter. Man, that is a big deer right there. A big deer.
This portion of Nosler's Magnum TV is brought to you by the Magnum Hunt Club.
Rob Dunham from the Magnum Hunt Club. Here's an important message that every hunter needs to hear.
When we're out enjoying our right to hunt, it's easy to forget about what's happening in Washington, D.C. But just because you're not thinking about the politicians doesn't mean they're not thinking about you. They are always up to something. And if you're not happy with what they're up to, please listen to this message from my friend Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris, fact number 235. Contrary to popular belief, America is not a democracy. It's a Chuck-tatorship.
I always get a kick out of those Chuckisms. But of course I can't decide alone how the country is run. If you're worried about the direction our country's going, you're in good company. Too many people have forgotten our nation was founded to protect freedom, like our Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Freedom is not about what government can do for us, but about keeping government from doing things to us. There's only one way to protect our freedoms, by voting for the candidates who support them. I hope you won't be missing in action on Election Day. Register to vote. I'm Chuck Norris, and I approve this message.
For more information, go to triggerthevote.org.
Oh my gosh. That's a definite shooter. Man, that is a big deer right there. Big deer.
I had to watch this deer for a long time. He was following a couple does, but I needed him to cover like 300 yards, and a lot can go wrong during the rut in 300 yards. I was just willing him to get closer every step. Come on, boy, get in there, get in there.
He gonna come up here and check him. Look at him, he's got that nose stuck out coming in there. Oh, he's coming right to those does, look.
Now, the deer finally got in. I ranged him. He was right around 200 yards. I felt really comfortable with the shot, but I had a problem that he was always facing me or giving me a bad angle for the shot, and it felt to me like it was taking forever.
He's turning right there. He's giving me that shoulder. Here we go. We have just smacked an Oklahoma monster. Fantastic deer. Oh, I couldn't be more tickled. Never dreamt we were gonna have one like that. Oh, hammered him. Yes! Woo! I know this is an absolute monster out here with Rick roads and back roads, outfitters, right in the edge of the Oklahoma Panhandle. This is absolutely a sleeper for big deer. But as I walked up, he just kept growing, and when I got my hands on those big antlers, it was pretty apparent to me that Oklahoma's definitely a big buck producer. I mean, an absolute, unequivocal, giant whitetail. Look at that.
That is an old buck. Look at the mass. I mean, that thing has got mass like Saskatchewan. He's bladed out here on the ends, split 2 and 3. So he's a mainframe 10 with 2 kickers to make 12. I mean, this dude is a giant. Just couldn't be a better deer out here. Oklahoma, we're 15 miles from Texas in one direction, and we're 15 miles from Kansas the other way, and this is what it produces.
You don't have to travel to the ends of the earth to have the hunt of a lifetime. Most of us have access to whitetail hunting not too far from home. The challenge of finding a big buck is what makes the whitetail king across our continent, and he certainly deserves his crown. Join us next week for another exciting adventure with the Magnum Hunt Club. Until then, I'm Chris Cox with the National Rifle Association, protecting our Second Amendment freedoms and hunting heritage.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the NRA-ILA. Nosler's Magnum TV is brought to you by Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearms, accessories, and gunsmithing tools. And by Nosler. Dunham's High Caliber Ranch. OutfittersRating.com. And the Magnum Hunt Club. Your adventure is our business.